This is Steve Ridgel, and so my friend Amy was just recently born again, just recently baptized, and I thought it might be good for you to hear her story. One, it will inspire you, and you'll appreciate Amy, and maybe even want to pray for Amy. But two, it's a little bit of a story for our church, and we all need to celebrate the way God works. So here's Amy's backstory. For a long time, Amy's tried to kind of walk on two roads: Jesus interest and, well, a non Jesus road. And she knows the non Jesus road wasn't good. It resulted in broken relationships, fractured families, pain, disappointment, hurt, guilt, shame, all of those things. And so finally, Amy decided she was going to get her act together and figure out how to follow Jesus. She ended up in Abilene. And long story short, we studied about Jesus and was baptized in front of our whole church family at Hillcrest just a week or so ago. But here's how I met Amy. I walked into church one morning and I was early because, well, ministers always come early because there's always stuff to do. And when I walked in, two of our elders' wives who were greeting at the door that day said, "There's a lady here named Amy who's looking for you. She wants to know about Jesus. Someone told her to come here." Wow. Okay, that's pretty neat. So I went down and found Amy, sat down and said, "Hi, are you Amy?" "Yes." I said, "Well, I'm Steve Ridgel." And she said, "Are you the Steve?" And I said, "I don't know, I'm a Steve." And she said, "Well, I was told to come look for you, and here's what had happened." When she moved to Abilene to try to get clean and try to get her life in order and find Jesus, she moved next door just for a short time to a lady named Angela. Now, we baptized Angela about 3 years ago, and then her son and some of her friends, and it's been a hard road for Angela, but she hangs in there and she is faithful. And so when Amy was talking about her journey, Angela said, "I've been on a much similar journey. I understand. You need to come to church at Hillcrest with me. They love you and you won't feel judgment, and they'll help you find Jesus." That was sweet and good and planted a seed. And then we have a ministry here in Abilene called Faith Works, great program that helps people that have kind of lived on the other road figure out how to navigate life in healthier ways. It's a great program. We have a lot of people involved in it. In fact, two of our members, Samantha and Clay, are employed and work there at Faith Works. Great people. Now, they're two people that found Hillcrest when they were at a time in their lives when they loved Jesus, trying to live for Jesus, but couldn't find a church environment. Well, they found Hillcrest. So they're at Faith Works, and Amy shows up. She's going through the program, and she hears them talking, and then they both separately said, "Hey, Amy, if you're really looking to change your life, you need to come to Hillcrest and learn more about Jesus." Wow, that's now three people have invited her. And then she did some of her rehab work at a place called Serenity House here in town. And there was a lady there who is finishing her program named Faith. And some of you will say, "Wait, Faith, that name's pretty recent." Yeah, baptized Faith just, I don't know, maybe, and her husband, Rance, maybe a couple of months ago. And Faith was finishing her program up. And she said to Amy, she said, "If you really want help, go to Hillcrest. If you need a ride, call a lady named Gwen. She'll give you a ride." And by the way, Gwen did. And then a lady named Anita took over, and she's been giving her rides to church. And then she said, "And if you want to know about Jesus, ask for Steve. He talks to people about Jesus." And that's why she decided she got a hold of Gwen, got her ride to church, asked where Steve was. I met her. We talked about Jesus. And then she was born again. And I'm excited to see what God's going to do with Amy. So thank you, God, and thank you all the people that care enough to invite.